wisely chosen to abstain.
I've said it a few times.
I don't mind it.
I'm a pretty open-minded dude. I've also been in situations where women are like, cunt, 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 haha, and I'm like, yeah, cunt, and they're like,
All of a sudden,
no.
You took the fun out of it.
Yeah. They're like, oh, you opened the door on the aircraft and all the oxygen got sucked out. Damn it. Sorry, guys.
It's immediate, like a light switch.
I was
And yes,
just
I
trying
feel
to
your pain.
participate.
I just wanted to be a part of the cunt party. Oh. I'll go sleep in my room now, under the bed.
Feel so left out.
Cuntless.
So I'm going to have to
You're
leave that
totally
in as our
cuntless.
opening now, because that is the greatest cunt story, especially when I've asked not to say cunt. Now it's just going to be cunt galore in the beginning of our Jason Bourne episode.
Now you have a title.
Should be the next James Bond movie.
Cunt galore.
Galore.
Yeah.
Oh, she'd be a great
The
Bond girl.
Cunt Collective.
Yeah. Let's just get all the euphemisms out of the way. My name is Cunt Sex Haver. And I am your femme fatale for the next hour.
Write it now.
Bangarang.
Bangarang.
Okay, so with that, hi and welcome to After the Hype. I'm your host, as always, Brian Dressel. With me, as always, is Jonathan Hardesty,
Hi.
Chewie
Oh,
Darso.
hello.
Ryan cannot be here today because he's still in that damn Pokeball. He was so convinced he was going to get out and start fighting those gyms.
It was a great Pokeball.
Yeah,
He's trying to find the elusive cunt, but everyone else is too.
That's what he gets for being the rarest of rare Pokemon. Sorry, Ryan. You'll get out sooner or later.
They kind of cut you.
Thank God we have that not safe for work tag on iTunes. With us today is Alex Marshall Brown,
Hey.
back from our Hateful Eight episode. And first-time guest, Eric Stolze is here.
First-time guest, hello.
How you doing, Eric?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here. We're surrounded by dead bodies. It's very soothing.
Yeah, it is. It's a good place to remind you how alive you are.
Yeah, totally. Severed head staring at me, passing judgment.
It
Yep.
helps pretend we have an audience.
Yeah, totally. And they're all really horrified at everything we're saying.
They really want us to do good.
Jaws slack, eyes glazed
And
over.
if not, there's clear consequences.
Yes.
Thanks to our very opening conversation, their jaws are all slack. Like,
You said
what?
cunt way too many times.
Yeah.
God, 13. Like,
Freddie Krueger is such a
Babes.
Puritan.
Observing in disbelief.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to do a really quick plug section for Eric and Alex here. Eric, where can people find you online or follow what it is that you do?
You can find me at Eric J. Stolze on Twitter if you so choose. I have a movie on Netflix called Late Phases if you like werewolf movies. Or if you don't like werewolf movies, but you like watching something for 88 minutes for no reason, you can get on Netflix and watch Late Phases.
Alex, what do you have going on right now?
Well, I just shot a Loot Crate film, which is a parody of Quentin Tarantino's Suicide Squad, as Amanda Waller, which is pretty great. Had a great time with that.
Amanda Waller, that's a good part.
Yeah, it's a great
Yeah.
part. Make me Viola any day.
All my men are disposable. Get the job done.
Also shot a short recently called Only a Movie. It's kind of like Stranger Than Fiction, where this guy finds himself on a set and doesn't know how his life got that way, and he tries to rewrite his life and doesn't work out so good. So those are the things that I've been working on lately. You can find me online on my website, alexmarshallbrown.com, all one word, ALEXMARSHALLBROWN. On Instagram at the same thing, and Twitter at amarshallbrown.
The way you just spelled your name makes me think, like, if you want to get like a side job in doing like the end of like the pharmaceutical commercials, you can knock it out of the park.
Thank you.
Just gotta get
Appreciate
those
that.
really quick enunciations in. Be careful, you may die. And
Just look directly into the camera with the sun setting behind you, and you're like, side effects may include suicidal thoughts or actual suicide. Or murdering other people and then murdering yourself.
Take our antidepressant pills.
Yes.
Twinkle in your eye.
symptoms might be death.
And a song in your heart.
Exactly.
God, there was one of those commercials on Hulu for like 2 months, and 3 of the side effects were death.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah,
why would
totally.
you take this? We'll start with a quick where have you been doing. I will go first. I saw the worst fucking movie of last year. I think it was. It was Lucy.
I didn't see Lucy.
I like Lucy.
I did not like it.
I heard conflicting views about it, though.
I really like how am I blanking on it? Luc Besson. I really like his stuff, and I really like his writing usually. But there's just something about the way this movie kind of played out that it was like I'm going to kind of spoil something here, and I'm apologizing for that. But when Scarlett Johansson turns into a liquid computer, my buy-in is out. Like I can stand the whole like, oh, she gets
Fair.
smarter to a point where she can start manipulating her body and her mind. I'm like, okay, cool. I read comics. I can get into this. Wait, so you just turned into a supercomputer and made yourself a thumb drive and handed it to Morgan Freeman? Nah, I'm done. Like you took it just too far.
All that mumbo jumbo.
Draw the line at like
Sisters are doing it for
nanobot
themselves,
goo.
dude. You're gonna deny her the right to turn into a flash drive?
You're right. Maybe I should take a step back.
I mean,
Check my male privilege, but I just could not handle it.
At least a solid state
It's
drive.
such a silly thing because I don't even know what that implies for smart people, that they immediately just lose all motivation for earthly delights and they're
No,
just
she
about
said that she's
information.
going to save the world. And they have this, like, again, I'm spoiling things. I
I don't know.
apologize, but we're never going to cover this fucking movie. 'Cause I'm not watching it again.
How is this the same plot of Her? Like,
Well,
But
a
like
prequel.
At the end of the movie, they like the cop who's been wanting to bang her the whole movie comes bounding into a room. He's like, "Where is she?" And then he gets a text message from no one that says, "I am everywhere." I'm like, "Oh fuck this."
well, then
movie."
can't he
Like,
bang the
I'm
air
out.
and be fine with it?
he could plug her into a real doll.
Would she inhabit it though? That's all he
I
would
think
ever
she has
wanted.
more stuff to do.
yeah, I feel like she.
Well, I'm sure
if
she-
she
if
wasn't
she's that
interested in him
smart,
before, then
she can
boy
do
would turning
more
into
than
a
one thing
quantum
at a
being
time.
within
I mean,
her
as
GBs.
long as he thinks she's inhabiting it, we'll be
Like-
fine, right?
Total out of your league
Multitasking.
situation, bro. Sorry.
That's it for me. I don't want to keep talking about this horrible piece of shit movie.
Another thing that made me mad, the where I've been doing, I finally caught up on Sleepy Hollow, which I had been putting out for a while.
Dun dun dun.
And I got real pissed off because, well, I didn't
What?
have a very good weekend last weekend, which Brian and I lost one of our rats.
I'm sorry.
So I'm like, I'm going to watch some shows. I'm going to watch a show where, the good guys always win. And I thought that was Sleepy Hollow. Did any of you guys watch that show?
What?
I watched the first season, and the title of the show are the two feelings that I got from watching it. So I decided to just back away.
It has a very slow build to it, but once you really get to know the main characters, Crane and Abby, they're a delight. And just
Right on.
and one of the reasons I like the show so much is that you would have a duo between a man and a woman, a white man and a black woman, and have them actually as equals the whole time. And they do get into the whole, like, they have feelings for each other, but not like romantic. Like, they have such an intense amount of respect for each other, and they're a great team. And I just loved their chemistry in that regard.
What's the part that pissed you off? Because it might be the same that pissed me off. I quit after
They
this.
killed Abby.
Nope, that wasn't it.
No, that was earlier then.
He was like, I loved when they killed Abby.
No, I was super pissed. But like, we have this great duo that
they do. Oh, that's
that revolves around such mutual respect, and then because it's so rare for you to have something like that, and they don't bog it down by like, will they, won't they, blah blah blah, sex, and then they kill her, and I'm like, no, damn it.
So why'd you take the most interesting character out of the picture? Sorry, like
Yeah, it's a
Maybe
bummer.
they'll bring her back.
I
No, they
don't know.
could, but-
Well, they say that the witnesses have eternal souls, but he's got to go but then they change, so he's got to go find the next witness, but it won't really be Abby. It'll just be kind of like her spirit in this other person. I don't know. I'll find out when they start the show again, but I'm just annoyed because I really wanted something to lift me up, and then they gave her a hero's death, but I was still just upset that she was dead, and I was like,
It's like, why not just
Fuck
give her
you.
a Heroes like 3 more seasons?
yeah.
If
like,
you really
they-
want to do something good.
they could have really twisted things around and actually killed Ichabod Crane. Like they could have done that, been like, whoa, what's Sleepy Hollow without it?
Well,
Interesting.
he's the
Like,
pretty white
I don't-
man, so he's going to keep going.
Take this for what you will. She has said she is done with the show.
I never said that.
I just said it. I was looking it up as you were talking. She said she's done with it.
She's done with it.
She's not coming back.
She doesn't have much going on her IMDb, which is also disappointing because she's a good
What does
actress.
that mean about that set?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's too bad.
I hope they're not being stupid on the set.
It could be. People
I
are
enjoyed
stupid
watching her.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Surprising.
You
isn't
heard it
I
here
was
first.
already mad enough when Orlando Jones got like finished in the show because
Oh, that was annoying too.
When the show first started, you kept saying Orlando Bloom, and I was like, I'm never watching this.
no,
piece of shit.
sorry, Orlando Jones.
You're like, no,
But you
Brian,
did-
good news. It's the 7-Up Yours guy. He's back.
Hey, he's the
back.
Mad TV guy.
Right.
Or the
But
guy
Brian
from
never
Evolution.
watched Mad TV. He doesn't like that show.
I
He's
don't.
silly.
I'm sorry.
You
I'm not.
can't- You can't be perfect.
Hashtag sorry, not sorry.
Shame.
It's a wonderful show.
Shame.
Long
All
hashtag.
right, John, where have you been doing?
Well, I know where how else did Ryan get captured by me actually playing Pokemon Go.
Are you the one who caught him?
Yes, I did.
Oh shit!
Took 6 great balls and a another like regular Pokeball.
Ah, nice.
He was a tough one.
Yeah, he's the rarest of them all.
So how do your balls feel after all that?
Sore.
Not so
Yeah.
great balls.
Like the game is fun for what it is. Gets you to exercise. I walked around like maybe 7-8 miles or so. It wasn't.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. My feet hurt
It's
terribly.
pulling people out of their homes at 2 a.m.
But it is a weird thing to be down like a whole stretch of like in Burbank, just seeing a bunch of people crowded around the lamp posts at like 10 at night, huddled over their phones, and
Super crazy.
and to know
yeah.
why and understand what they're going through. It's like so weird. But yeah, it's fun. It's fun for what it is.
Alex, what about you? Where have you been doing?
I have been reading a book that I absolutely love. It is called Essentialism
You
by
brought it with you. You brought props.
Greg McEwen.
Mad props to you.
I am in love with this. Thank you so much. Mainly because I stress myself out fairly often because I overbook myself with a whole lot of things to do. And
Thanks for being on 2 episodes today.
I appreciate you so much. Happy to be here. It teaches me to be selective about the things that I join
There
on
we
to.
go.
That's what it is. I chose you.
It's appreciated.
That ties to my whoever you've been doing too.
Yeah, really.
I choose you, podcast Chew.
Yeah, we're her Pokemon.
But yeah, it helps me weed out the things that I don't want to do rather than feeling obligated to do them.
Oh, nice.
Damn.
Nice.
Yeah.
Anybody mind if I just sit here and read that book for the next hour
No
instead
worries.
of
Yeah, I will.
Go
It's your
for it.
first time being on.
Yeah.
I'll throw a book at you.
no.
Eric, what about you? Where have you been doing?
I
Other
had
than
the,
reading Alex's book.
other than I read the whole thing right now. I can tell you, folks, it's a great one. I just had the pleasure of binging Stranger Things on Netflix.
I want
and
to watch that, but I have
super
to do
good.
it when he's not home.
Yeah.
Wow, what'd I do to you?
You don't like Winona Ryder.
Oh, fuck. She's in it?
She's the star.
She might.
I was so excited for that show.
I don't know. She might turn your opinion a little bit because I think she's doing some interesting stuff in this. I mean, she's not the best part of the show by a mile. In fact, she's not even really the star. She's just the
Oh, I
biggest
thought she
name.
was.
Well, she's in every episode, but she doesn't have as much to do as the group of kids who are the real protagonists of it. You know,
Okay.
their friend goes missing. There's weird supernatural phenomenon. This very strange girl who everyone thinks is a boy at first because she's very androgynous, has like a shaved head. She just seems to like wander into town out of nowhere. Nobody knows where or what she's doing. And, you know, none of these kids are names, so they can't necessarily put them as upfront as Winona Ryder, but these kids are, to be sure, like the actual
So it's kind of
heroes.
like the first season of Game of Thrones, where even though that guy Sean Bean wasn't like the main character, he was the biggest name. So you put
Yeah,
him
so
front, yeah.
that's exactly
The
right.
biggest automatic spoiler alert.
Yeah. Whoops. But I just thought the world of this show. I mean, it reminded me of all the parts of Super 8 that I loved and none of the parts that I got frustrated with, where it's just extremely in love with its characters. It loves these kids so much. It loves this girl so much. It's got a lot of affection for small towns without being condescending. You know,
Okay.
a lot of times you'll watch a show or a movie set in a small town, and you can tell it was made by people in LA sipping cappuccinos going, these hicks. But in this case, you really feel an enormous, like the only word I can use is love. It just seems like they love these characters. They love this town. The creators, the Duffy brothers, I mean to say. I don't even remember if it's Duffer or Duffy.
Beer?
Maybe it's the Duff Beer Brothers. I would remember if it were the Duff
Yes.
Beer Brothers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that's how much I love the show. I can't remember the names of the guys who created it.
You're
but
just so raw with emotion.
Well, it means you just buy into the world so much that there can't be creators of it because it's just real to you.
yeah,
Just
and I
life.
think this is their first jam because
It is Duffer, by the way.
Duffer, yeah, and I had never heard of these guys before, and like to me, coming out of the gate with something like this is like I just can't wait to see what comes next.
Awesome.
So,
That's
yeah.
great.
I
Those
really,
brother teams really got
They
it.
wrote for Wayward Pines.
Oh well, I could see that
which is
because
a Hulu thing.
yeah,
Or is
Yeah,
that
but it's
on
also
Fox?
I don't remember. But
I
either
think
way,
the
it's
first
still
season
kind of like
was
that.
on Fox.
I could see. I mean, I've been trying to not watch anything, which is why I didn't know Winona Ryder was in it because I heard such good things about it. I'm like, I don't want to see a trailer. I don't want to see anything about it. I just want to watch the show. But knowing that they did Wayward Pines, I could, from what I've heard, makes sense.
Yeah, I think even if you aren't crazy about her character, which I mean,
I'm willing to give her a shot. Like I've never like avoided something she was in just because she was in it. I've just never been that big of a fan of her. Like I love
That's fair.
Beetlejuice. She was great in that.
She's doing something pretty different here. I mean, I would recommend it to anybody. I can't think of a single
Yeah.
person who wouldn't get a kick out of it.
I'm sure there's some bitter assholes who will hate it.
There's always
Probably.
that. Well, they're all still busy with Ghostbusters, so we got some time.
And for
That is a
next week's
full-time
episode,
job.
they're all still very busy with next week's episode because everyone hates the shit out of it. But we'll talk about that next week. But let's talk about this week. So we're going to start with the Bourne series. And when I say the Bourne series, I mean the Matt Damon part. We're going to forget, for today's purposes, that Jeremy Renner ever had anything to do with this series.
But Jeremy, To be fair.
I know he has a great butt. We don't need to talk about it.
Oh, you know me so well.
So just really quick, I'm not going to read any reviews because, I mean, the reviews for this movie, they're good across the board. People gave this thing like 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10. People love the shit out of these movies, which is fine. We'll talk about it. But overall, they made about $500 million between 3 of them. Not 4, 3 of them. With 4, they made a little bit more, but the 4th one did horrible, which is why he's not coming back for the one that we're celebrating the Bourne series for.
Womp, womp, womp.
Yeah.
People just need to learn to always take Ryan Reynolds' shirt off and always feature
Renner's butt.
Renner's butt.
The
Yeah.
Renner butt.
Yeah, he's got a good keister on him. But to be fair, again, it's never looked as good as it did in Mission Impossible.
Fully
3.
packed,
Yeah, he looked good in those
That
silk
Taylor
pants.
knew what they were doing.
round and high.
Someday.
I mean, it says something when everyone in the audience, male, female, everybody was like, "Man, that guy's got a good butt."
That's fishy, though.
Okay, so breakdown today. Breakdown. We're gonna move right into it. This is gonna be a rare treat for our audience members because they get to hear me flounder with it because I fucking hate doing these, which is why I like making everybody else do them instead. But there's 3 movies. That means 3 people have to do them, so I will do one. I'll let Chewie decide who's doing what, and then we're
I
all.
can already run these movies down in like 5 seconds. But
Well,
Good on you, but
hooray for you who doesn't have to do it.
they all have about 4 points that they hit, and then they're done.
It's true. Okay, so we're going to do a 30-second timer here. Each one of us is going to get 1 movie. So Alex will get 1, Eric, and then myself. And we're going to do our best to talk over each other and see how this turns out, which is really great for everyone to kind of go in their cars. Ah, what the hell was that? Chewie, let us know when you have a choice.
All right, well, Brian, you get the first one.
Boom.
And then you get the second one, you get the third.
rude. That's exactly what I didn't
Supremacy.
need.
All right, so second and third.
Right on. Cool.
So I still get Bourne Identity.
Yes, you still get the first one.
All right, so Bourne
Supremacy.
Identity, Alex gets Supremacy, Eric with Ultimatum.
Ultimatum.
All right, you guys ready? Chewie,
Yeah.
give us a go.
Go.
Bourne
So
was
this
so the
Carl
Bourne Identity
Urban
starts
Friends
sticking his
of
nose where it
reverting
doesn't
CIA
belong,
and
operatives.
Jason Bourne
so
runs
it
up
starts
to
with,
him and
Matt
he's like,
Damon
"You're in big
Matt
trouble."
Damon being
And
passed
then
out
the
in the
drone
water.
gets
Goes
shot.
off. He
Wakes
escapes
up,
with
doesn't
the
So
know
now
who he is,
Bourne
goes
decides to go
until
to
she
New
gets
York,
sniped to
where
death.
everyone
gets to
tells
New
him
York,
he's a
and
bad
he
guy,
finds
I
out
guess.
Born to trust
that,
him through
you know,
his
he
shit
was
out of a
originally
bunch
from
of dudes.
Missouri,
Recon alert,
and he
authorities
seems
fight
like he
chases
hadn't
him,
found out
escapes.
about
They
that.
run
He
Born gets
didn't
to the
together.
know.
bottom of his
Nobody
first
knew
Berlin,
that
and
because
seeks
he's
to
from
torment the
Missouri.
child that was left
And
behind.
he
with the
drives
Paul
his car
Urban
off a
Friends.
roof.
Kill
Victim
a
of
bad guy.
he
He didn't
walks
kill a
away
bad guy
at the
because
end.
he had kids, and
And he's okay.
now he's Jason Bourne.
Prep 3.
And that's our timer.
Cue crappy
that was
movie song.
so much to take in at one moment.
Isn't it? Now you know what I go through every week.
Don't you feel like a government experiment that just had a bunch of information downloaded into your
No,
brain?
I feel like the intern that gets all the crap jobs. I'm going to go with Alex because she talked the fastest.
Okay, so Alex wins. Then
Curses
you
all
have to-
around.
You have to insult the other 2 of us.
Well, I'll just have to say you're both super white.
And I am not.
Well,
She's not.
yeah, but here's the thing. In the Bourne movies, that's not an insult.
All you need
because
is a
this
white
man,
This
Touche.
white man can
This
beat
is-
every other
Touche.
man.
yeah, this
Touche.
is why, and maybe it's just because the Republican National Convention was this week, but like watching these movies with that in the background of the world, I was like, Jason Bourne is like every conservative white man's like dream.
dream.
self.
Yes.
Yeah. 'Cause
Everyone
he's
is
this-
against me.
Yeah,
I need-
exactly. You get to beat up the government. You get to like do a Euro trip with a bunch of cuties, and like you just are this flawless, invincible being who's always right, and you like, don't even have to like worry about remembering terrible shit that you've done. You're just like
Whenever somebody
bouncing
attacks
through
you,
the
it's
world.
perfectly okay to murder them right away.
yeah, totally. I just
They
feel
might
like
not just be doing their job, but
yeah.
fucker deserves to die.
It just seems like it's a fulfillment of like every paranoid fantasy that like one of my uncles would have. You know what I mean? Where it's just like, the government is watching us and trying to get a hold of all of our stuff, and they're sending people after us. And then like even in the third one, which I just flawlessly summarized in 30 seconds.
Too bad
There's-
Chewie couldn't appreciate it.
Yeah,
Couldn't
there's
really
like
understand most of you.
there's a character played by Paddy Considine who's this like hapless journalist who gets in over his head and finds out about the Bourne porn program, and you would think like, oh, you're supposed to sympathize with this dude, but the way that the movie portrays it is this
He
guy's
looked like
he's a
doofus.
villain.
he's like he's like a bumbling fool. He's like a Keystone Cop or something. He's just like, oh, I don't want people to shoot at me. I'm just a journalist.
I
And
know
it's
if
like,
I run through this crowd, it'll be okay.
yeah, exactly. And it's like, in this world, if the ultimate villain is the government, then why is a journalist also a horrible villain? There's just like no good entity in this world except for this one
Except
guy.
the murderer.
Yeah,
Except for the guy who kills like 90 people
Except for
and
the
is
powerful
completely
white male.
justified. Yeah, this impeccable, flawless dude. And it's so fascinating to me to just look at the world through this lens, because it's just like there's no hope of anything except for going off the grid and, like, I don't know, I guess shacking up with a woman that you barely know until the government gets her too.
It's a really weird thing, because when this movie came out, the political climate was very different
Totally.
than it is today, and it's kind of strange. Like when this came out, none of these really felt like problems, because it was kind of like I think the first one came out in like what, 2002, I want to say.
It came out in 2002 because it was postponed right after 9/11.
Okay, yeah. So like when this thing first came out, I mean, it was made in the pre 9/11 era, where everyone's
Exactly.
still very like, yeah, Americans are great, aren't we? Yeah, let's kick everyone's ass. And then it wasn't until like the post 9/11 stuff where all this really started becoming more and more of an issue. And it's really interesting watching that first one and then watching the other two, because I think the first one, it doesn't feel as big of a problem to me. Like it doesn't feel as much of the super white male going to save the day. It really feels more like a personal story of this guy was fucked over, and then he needs to figure out who he is. And then all the problems that you were just mentioning, which I totally agree with, those kind of come more in the second and third one, where it's take down the government because only we can.
Yeah.
Whereas the first one, it really is just a guy going, who the hell am I? And then finding out that he was used to murder somebody, then he had a conscience, so he didn't want to do it in front of his kids, and then the whole thing kind of went away. And it's funny because the second two don't really feel like a sequel to that first movie.
I would agree with that. Yeah, it's funny too, because I think part of why you give a damn about Bourne in the first one is because he does have like a very frightening existential problem. And then once that's pretty much in the back seat for the second and third movies, you're just like, why? I kept forgetting why I even gave a damn about
He
this.
feels
dude.
a little bit bad in the second one. He goes to that
A
girl's
little bit,
apartment
yeah.
at the end.
But he goes to that girl's apartment. But what about all the other fucking people he killed throughout the entire movie? He's going to go visit all their kids
He's
too?
sure.
only from his first kill.
Yeah, for
Like,
sure.
I remember like it in the second one where he goes to the other last operative or whatnot from Treadstone.
Yeah.
to-
Clive Owen?
Yeah. No, Clive Owen's in
Second
the first
movie.
one.
Is that the
second
one with the
movie.
zip tie fight?
I think so.
I don't
Second
The
movie is
second
Zip Tie
movie-
Fight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the one with
Yeah.
the magazine and the knife.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Totally.
Yeah,
awesome fight.
So
That's a
he
great
goes,
fight.
He
Yeah.
goes to it is a great fight, but the whole time I'm on the other guy's side. I'm like, Jason Bourne just broke into this guy's place and wanted to interrogate him for information, and then he's like insulted the dude, called the authorities to come help him. So then they start fighting, and then he kills the dude. I'm like, am I supposed to be rooting for Bourne right now? He just home invaded this other man who was just kind of minding his own business, and then he did protocol of calling for help. And then he gets fucking murdered because he didn't trust Bourne.
Yeah, but-
of course he's not going to trust Bourne.
But Jason Bourne's the American, so he's right.
Yeah.
No.
That's not how the world works.
Is that not how this works?
Yeah, just
No.
running through Europe like a bull in a china shop, just like, fuck these antiques, fuck this
My
world
country's
history.
now.
Yeah, exactly.
I was just like, I mean, like I said, I didn't see these movies in theaters. 2002 was kind of around my time where I wasn't really watching the giant Hollywood films, like
Yeah.
like how I still haven't seen Gladiator, like those like
You should see Gladiator. It's a good movie.
I-
Yeah,
at
you
some
should.
point I will. I guess,
Worth it.
but in those like 2-3 year span, I just didn't see a lot of the really big films because I got annoyed at them. I felt they were too inflated, and because that, I never went to the sequels. And right now, I'm kind of feeling like I saw better things in the other movies.
Well, no, I mean, here's okay. So the argument for this movie, and we can get into some of the other stuff here, was you have to look at the climate of action films when this one came out. We had things like Mission Impossible, we had like the Die Hard movies and that sort of stuff, where like as filmmakers, not Doug Liman or Paul Greengrass, but like filmmakers were making these movies, are like, what can we do with these special effects, with green screen, with this sort of stuff, and they made these ludicrous movies that are still a ton of fun. Like they're the benchmark 90s action films where at some point a guy will be diving across the screen with a wall of fire behind him. Like
But they were experimenting with technology.
yeah, and like they were pushing the boundaries, and that's great, and it was a lot of fun. You had Mission Impossible come out, like you had all these really cool, big, explosive action movies. And what Doug Liman wanted to do, and why these movies really hit a chord, was like, all right, we need to dial this back. We need to go back to the days like The French Connection when that was an action film where there's really just like a car chase and maybe a couple fights in there. And that's what made these movies really kind of resonate with people, and why they got so excited for them was because they felt realistic. Like they felt like, oh, these are things that are actually happening. There was actual political espionage here. And they did it in a way where they used big, thinky words, and they had political dudes in suits, and they felt like a thinking man's action film with somewhat realistic action in it.
Oh, well, yeah. I can't knock the action in these movies.
I mean, that's kind of the best thing about the movies
Yeah,
is what they did
they're
for other
beautifully
movies.
done.
Yeah.
Because you need only look at James Bond before Bourne and James Bond
Yep.
after Bourne. Because before Bourne, we had Die Another Day.
Which I love.
And
It's a great movie.
Or so you keep
Sure,
saying.
yeah.
That's what you keep saying.
That is an opinion that
If I
one
could-
person has at least. But then after that, you've got Casino Royale, which feels like,
It's a different breed.
yeah, and it kind of feels like it's following up on, I think, the potential of the first Bourne movie more than the actual Bourne sequels do. I think that by taking James Bond and making him this really scruffy, really just resourceful dude, you look at the fight scenes in Casino Royale, like that first bathroom fight, and it feels
Oh.
Feels
so
visceral
urgent.
and
Yeah,
like,
it's
ooh.
extremely
Feels super
immediate.
personal.
Yeah, it feels like, skin on skin, and there's something really exciting about that.
And the frame
compared
gets
to-
dirtier with these movies. It kind of gives it like a very dirty ground level feel to the movies, which is really great, and how it affects these other action movies. Like Bond gets the frame gets dirty. It's grainier. The movie's like a little bit more tactile.
They decided to use handheld like crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
I have different feelings of in different fights. Sometimes I think the shaky cam really pulls me into the fight, and then other times I'm like, where are they?
In Supremacy, it was an experiment. It's like can we shoot
green grass, yeah.
Yeah, with green grass. That was totally like, can we do this all handheld? I go, yeah, we can. It'll turn out okay, and then you can't really see the action. It gets a little jarring at points. I actually got motion sickness when I saw it in theaters during the fight we just mentioned, the magazine knife fight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
It's
moves
like,
quickly.
It's like, what the hell is happening right now? And then the third one, I think they learned their lessons from the second one. They kind of watched it and went, all right, it's kind of like,
It breathes a little bit more.
yeah, a little bit. It's like Abrams watching the first Star Trek movie going, okay, I think I went overdid it with the flares a little bit. And then you watch Into Darkness and the flares are toned down a lot. Like he kind of sees what he did and didn't do.
Yeah, the average shot in Supremacy is about 1.9 seconds.
Yeah, I could see that.
It's fast.
yeah, the editing
that
is
long,
super
huh?
quick.
Wow.
But I was getting a
Such
little bit
restraint.
bored from second to second.
Yeah, really.
But you can see how much they learned in the third one, because the third one won an Academy Award for editing.
Yeah.
Like they definitely.
I forgot about
Christopher
that.
Ross.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
the first and the third one are definitely the better movies out of this.
absolutely.
Agreed.
Because you actually care about Bourne more in those. In the second one, I don't really care about him.
Yeah, I didn't buy that whole revenge
He
thing going on
just
in
seems
the second
real
one.
whiny.
No, the
Yeah.
second one I only saw in theaters. This was the first time I'd rewatched it. I've seen the first and third a bunch of times. This is the first time I've seen the second one again since I saw it in theaters.
Yeah.
And
I'm
it's-
sorry, you were saying something.
Oh no, far from it. I just think it's sad that I think Franka Potenka is one of the coolest things about the first one because I think she gets the best scene in the first one when Bourne is gearing up to do his usual Bourne thing, and she comes up and she's like, "I just asked them
Yeah.
for the information," and he's like, "Oh," and
Yeah.
it's like something so witty and subversive, and it like paints her as actually being like a really nice foil for him because she's like an actual human being who thinks like an actual human
She
being.
Well, and I
grounds
had-
him.
Yeah,
And
and
I-
it's frustrating that goes out the window
Yep.
so immediately in the second one
Well-
because
Yeah, the
I think
best-
he needs
And I
that as a
and
character.
I'd never seen the second or third one. I'd only seen the
Yeah.
first one before this. I was like, she's in this movie, but for how long? I'm guessing like
There she goes.
oh, she's
Yeah.
gone. Headshot.
Bye.
Okay, and like I was eerily able to predict when she was gonna go.
And-
Oh, totally. Because you just feel like she's only there in the second one to offer, like some attempt at heightened stakes, and that's
Yeah.
kind of insulting because she does so much good stuff in the first one.
Now, from what I've heard, is that the only reason she's not in the second one is because she was pregnant. So they kind
How dare she?
So they wrote her out of the movie, which is, I mean, it's kind of shitty. And at that point,
Bourne can't have a baby?
Well-
either A,
Yeah, give
Bourne
him a
can have a
Bourne
baby.
baby.
B, it's like I am not. I'm usually in the minority of this, but I have no problem with recasting. Like if you don't, if the part doesn't work because of the actor, you know what? Fuck it. Like if you hire another good actor, we'll buy it.
I mean, I'm also surprised that they didn't bond the situation by just giving him a new girl. Like,
100%, or Indiana
Yeah.
Jones for that matter. Like that's very part and parcel with this kind of movie.
I was pleased they didn't just replace her, swap her out, because I was like, oh no, they're gonna replace her with somebody else, someone younger maybe. Oh, they didn't.
I
Cool.
always
Well,
thought
they
that he was
kinda-
going to just hook up with Julia Stiles.
They totally alluded to
sure.
that
they
in the
took
third one.
forever getting to that.
Yeah,
100%.
but I
And
think
even then, it didn't pay off.
no, I think it will in the new one. I think they're going to address it because she's in the new one.
And she hints at that they had a relationship.
She's the highest paid background actor in all these films.
Uh,
She does a good job with the few parts she has. I actually
That's
really
true.
like her in these movies.
No,
When
she does a
shows
great
up, she's-
job.
I didn't really like her screaming fest in the second one.
Yeah, it was a little weird.
Yeah, she's really like capable in the first one, and then the second one they're just like, all right, now your character is you're scared, go.
Yeah.
And then in the third one they're like, you're scared and you get a new haircut.
Yeah, and you're kind of horny. Not like not
don't
dripping,
commit to it, but at least like
not so horny that you're
not
gonna risk your
the
life.
best at running away. You try every door in that alley. He really should have been able to catch up
Now,
to you.
I want to pause really quick right there. You just mentioned what I think is the greatest action sequence in the entirety of the series.
quadruples chase kind of
Oh
thing.
my god, that's
I mean, it's
awesome.
really well done. Like
It is
other,
so
other
well
than
done.
she's trying every door in that alley.
I mean, yeah, she is definitely the help me in that part, but it's still everything from like
Damsel mode.
the motorcycle chase to the where he gets there and he finds out they blew up the guy they were chasing the whole time, and then he's going after the girl. Like everything in that action sequence is just like edge of your seat. Like holy shit, this is awesome.
Through the
get
streets
him-
of Tangier,
Yeah.
over the roofs, jumping in through windows into
Yeah.
apartments.
And you can
It's
go
so rad,
if you
yeah.
watch the behind the scenes of that, the way they did that shot is amazing. They had a guy jump off a building and
With
through a
him.
window.
There were no
And-
wires.
and yeah, well, the guy at the
How did
camera
they
had
get
wires.
The
Well-
guy, I didn't know they had a camera like strapped to him somehow. That
So
we could
they had the
following
one guy
behind.
So
jump.
killer.
The one guy successfully jumped from the building through the window, and the guy behind him had wires on him and was holding a camera and just chased him off the building, and then just fell off the building with him.
That's
So
awesome.
cool.
Like that's
That
amazing.
Those
Yeah.
stunt guys had the best bro moment after that.
I gasped during that
And the
scene.
cameraman
Oh,
was
yeah.
And
questioning
I'd
his
seen-
whole
Yeah,
career
yeah,
up to that
guys,
point.
And I'd seen the trailer for Supremacy. So they put that shot in the
Ultimate.
trailer, or
They played that
It
shot
was in the trailer.
1,000
Yeah.
times.
An ultimate, yeah.
yeah, it was in the trailer, and I saw it a bunch of times.
It's
and
in
then-
the trailer for the new one. Like
Yeah.
they're so proud of that shot, and they should be.
and I still,
Yeah.
That's killer.
I still gasped when watching it. It was that good. Like,
Yeah, it's super satisfying.
And it's also sad to think that nowadays they just put a GoPro on his forehead.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
GoPros
true.
have made things a little bit easier, but at the same time, I mean, if you're still willing to, that's still going the extra mile for that shot. It's like
I
like
mean,
you
it's
go
a
back and watch
beautif-
the
That's
Crank
what I mean. It's a
movies.
beautiful shot.
Yeah.
And now it would just be like, oh, they used a GoPro for that shot. I mean, I don't know if it's just me being snarky, but I kind of
If they're
hate
still
that
gonna,
in movies
if,
at this point.
If they're still going to send a guy off a building chasing somebody for a shot, I'm still impressed. I don't care if he's holding a 200-pound camera or a GoPro. He still jumped off a building to get a shot done. That's impressive.
Yeah, that shot won the Taurus Award for best high work.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Deserved.
Like it is an amazing thing. Like it's one of those. It's part of the reasons why we can talk about like the political climate and the insulting nature of white America smashing through Europe, but there's things in this movie that are just so awesome on a filmmaking standpoint that they're still fun to watch. It's fun to watch in the same way that like Red Dawn that we mentioned a few weeks ago. It's fun to watch. It's like, yeah, this is a really fun movie to watch. Don't pay attention to the message.
No,
Just
no,
ignore the message because it's wrong. But the movie itself, there's a lot of action and intrigue and that sort of stuff.
well, and it's
cool.
funny
I
because
don't know
like
if the
these.
message is really wrong.
In this one,
Well, which one?
in the Bourne movies, of
Oh.
the white America is he's right all the time. That whole thing.
Well, no, the white guy is right all the time is silly,
White paranoia.
Yeah, the
But
America
I-
paranoia.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure our government does have secret assassin things
Oh,
going on.
undoubtedly.
Oh yeah, I'm not. That's not what I'm arguing. I'm arguing
Okay.
the whole thing that like this is the guy to save.
And you
the
had to
world.
mention it on air. Great.
Yeah. Someone's gonna break through a ceiling right now. You can't
No.
know about us.
Matt Damon, what the hell?
That would
No.
be amazing.
They wouldn't said Matt, they'd said Renner.
Oh,
And I'd be
He's
like,
expendable.
all right,
we're only good enough for Renner. God.
I'll take Renner.
You'll take his-
I'm very
What a way to
biased.
go.
Can you just turn around really quick? You can kill me afterwards.
Yeah.
Just I
Can
dropped
you-
something over there.
Can you shoot me between
just-
your legs? Can you just like lean down
Can you
and
just Annie Oakley the shot so I can see your butt the whole time?
Yeah.
Why die with that shot? It'd be great.
It's
Butt
gonna
shot.
be real awkward if I ever work with Jeremy Renner.
It is. It's gonna be hilarious to hear about it.
You should send him a copy of the podcast first.
To what you
I
said
really
though.
like objectifying you.
Go ahead, John.
Podcast quote. I really like objectifying you.
I once did tell my wife, "You're my favorite person to objectify."
You had a whole conversation
Well
about how
done,
you're like.
sir.
Yeah,
These
right.
movies also have one of my other favorite men to objectify, Carl Urban.
Yes, ma'am.
To be fair, you guys
Continue.
were comparing your she was comparing you to desserts on Facebook the
That's
whole
it.
time.
Yeah,
So, I mean, I was getting hungry.
Hashtag
Damn it.
marriage. Go ahead, John.
dessert.
You're gonna make a point.
Kind of piggybacking off of yours, that these movies are essentially the same movie three
Over
times
and over again.
But because of how the filmmaking is so strong and so entertaining and edge of your seat,
Yeah.
I enjoyed every single one, and I watched them like back to back to back. And normally with movies like that, that gets boring by
Yeah.
about the end of the first movie.
Well,
This wasn't so. Each one, it was still so fun.
Well, the thing was, I saw the first one and I loved the shit out of it. I have a really big soft spot for Doug Liman, just in general. Like, if his
Yeah?
name is directing a film, I'm gonna go see
yeah,
it.
Big fan.
He's made some horrible things. Don't get me wrong. I will
made
never
some great
watch
things,
Jumper
too.
Why
again,
didn't he
but-
continue?
Well, he just did Edge of Tomorrow, and that was fantastic.
Oh,
Why
Edge
didn't
of
he
Tomorrow
continue with
was
the Bourne
amazing.
series?
He didn't want to.
Yeah.
From what I hear, he was the executive producer. He didn't want to direct a sequel.
Okay.
From
No,
what
I
I
got
hear.
the impression that he was difficult to work with and had very.
I've heard that as well.
Yeah.
But from the public statement is that he didn't want to.
Okay.
And I'll accept that. Whatever. I'm not here to try to figure out what actually happened.
He comes
I'm
into
not
the roof.
Jason Bourne.
Alex, you're saying that that's a lie, man.
I don't know facts,
Don't
but I don't
lie,
accept what the
man.
public is told always.
Oh,
Oh, well, have I
neither
got
do
3
I.
movies for you. It's called the Bourne Identity Trilogy.
See,
Don't trust anything.
even if he is I don't know. I always have a little bit of a leeway for myself with assholes. Like, even if he is difficult to work with, the man gets results.
He has great films.
He does,
Undeniable.
and he's the thing that I like about Doug Liman more so than a lot of other directors is that he's a very good man at knowing what he can and can't do. Which is why I still think out of all of them, the first one's the best one.
Yeah.
I could see the argument for the third one because the third one's just kind of a non-stop, intense, just machine force of a movie. But I still think the first one, kind of like what we were saying earlier, which is the only one where you really relate to Jason Bourne as a character. And I think that alone makes that the strongest out of the 3. Because by the time you get to the third one, it's just like, all right. It's kind of like watching Taken. It's like, how many people is he going to murder throughout this thing?
Oh, jeez.
It's
Like,
fun
the
watching
entire
it. But
world
My
would be
daughter.
after him.
Well, and there's an
Oh,
interesting
yeah.
distinction that you just kind of made me think of is that the first movie is about him as a person, as a character. The other movies are about what he's doing,
Taking down
which
entities.
which does lessen it a little bit. Still entertaining, but that's why the first one stands out so much because it's not so much about the action, although it's great.
Yeah.
It's about who he is,
Yeah.
what he's going through, and that's more important than the action. Whereas this, like with the newer ones, it's the action that's the most
If you're
important
going
thing.
to impose yourself into the hero's shoes, it's that first movie is the stakes are high
Yep.
and very primal because that's just a matter of who am I and how do I survive.
How do I know these things? Like the first time he gets in that fight with the
In the
cops
park?
in the park,
Yeah.
it's awesome. The whole he just took him down. It's like, what the hell am I?
I love muscle memory.
Yeah, it's a really cool thing. Like that's the thing about these movies. They're just fucking cool. They're just kind of fun to watch. I mean, they're kind of dumb, but and that's kind of what I want to move into is the kind of nature of them. There's something about these movies that I want to talk about, which is they really, really strive to be the thinking man's James Bond. And they were kind of pitched to me as that, like
Little
back in the day.
MacGyver-esque.
Yeah, like it's like if you like spy movies, you're gonna like James Bond because they just kind of do cool shit. And this one's all about like political espionage and political climate and that sort of
But
stuff.
there's no MacGyverness to him. It's just all
He
fight,
doesn't
fight.
pick up weapons for the most part. He leaves the guns in the safety deposit box. He grabs newspapers and pens and just gets regular civilian everyday items to fight with. And a lot of the fights are grounded in Eskrima, Kali, as well as Jeet Kune Do. And
Don't ask me.
I mean,
Go on.
You're the one with
the
knowledge
person
on
who
that.
does stunts.
Can we
is gonna
just
know
hear you
more than
talk
us.
about this for another half an hour, please?
I mean, but Kali especially is primarily based on finding everyday items and using them as a weapon.
Okay, so I wasn't thinking about when I was thinking like the thinking man's action thing. I was thinking like ways to actually avoid the fights, but
No.
Oh yeah,
This-
that's not what he does.
Yeah,
no, he just full on
He
like
is ready
dive
to
Also,
go.
they
right into
force
it.
him to engage too.
Yeah.
yeah,
that's true.
But the thing that I liked about it, like as a kid in high school, is like you felt smart watching these movies.
Yeah, I would agree with that. There's a lot of stupid stuff going on in these movies.
So on a stupid level, I mean, breaking it down, all of his recon moments where he's trying to get information whenever he's at a computer, it's always click, click, image, revelation.
Because in these kinds of movies, computers are magical, and people
Yes.
teleport from one time zone to another in like an hour.
How
and
does
it's
he have
just-
all this money? How
And
does
ha-
he-
yeah, exactly.
See, I do actually say that in interviews. You know, the Bourne movies where it's like click, click, image, click, click, revelation. That's what I am to your editing
Yeah.
projects.
Yeah,
they're like-
you're an
and
asset.
And they're like,
Yeah.
get out. We don't want to hire no crazy assassin.
And that's why, like, especially by the third movie, which came out in 2007 or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
When the internet was definitely a very big thing, which already was a big thing at 2002.
Mm-hmm.
His espionage, like, he would be one of the world's most wanted men because his picture would be everywhere.
That was the only way the authorities were ever tipped. It's like, oh, we saw his face somewhere. Chase him.
Yeah, people,
But-
even
but
hotels
they
are getting
would
like
act
faxes
like they
of
had
his
to
face.
look for it, like
But-
they had to like do some espionage to find him still a little bit. And I'm like, no, it's like everyone would know what he looks like.
But one of the things I do like about that is they bring it up in the movie a couple times. It's a really cool thing where it's like, we saw him in Prague. Well, how do we see him? he probably wanted to be found. Like, I like that he uses the whole, like, people are looking for him to his advantage.
Yeah.
Like, there's cool things they do with the character where he is smart.
I just feel like every civilian would know what he looks like and be like, he's gonna kill us.
My favorite moment of that is the big kind of switcheroo he does with in Ultimatum, where it's like, yeah, we would talk face to face if you were back in your office. And I was like,
Yeah, that was a good.
I like
Zing
danced
moment.
around my
I
like computer. I was like,
appreciate
oh, this
that.
is so crazy.
Yeah, that's a good
I love
line.
it.
That was awesome. I like that they use that same scene twice from the end of Supremacy and then again, and I'm like, oh, that was smart because it didn't make sense that he'd be in New York. Like, hey, who's looking for me? America. Maybe I shouldn't go there.
Yeah. But New York, hey.
Yeah,
Gotta get some of that pizza.
I like how when I think it's Supremacy, when he's tracking Pamela Landy and he goes to the hotel and calls and tries to see whether she's in her room just to see if
it's in
she's
Supremacy.
around.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like little things like that. Super smart. It makes me feel smarter for having seen it.
Yeah.
But the nature of him, what was it you were saying a second ago? With him,
Oh,
everyone would know what he looks like.
Yeah.
Also, the government and Treadstone is a thing that the public probably shouldn't know. So all the effort they're putting
would-
out there.
but I think they
they're
would mask it like there's this man terrorizing Europe and just go
But
public.
since he's supposed to be in like the secret project, so secret that the people running the secret don't know the secret about the secret.
Right.
I think they'd try to keep him out of the news.
Right.
Would be. I mean, but that said,
So
he
many
is
of the fights are
as
so
Eric said,
public.
he is the bull in the china shop. So eventually, if the Americans want to keep him on the news, maybe Paris would be like, this motherfucker destroyed everything.
Yeah.
Short of the Eiffel Tower,
Yeah.
nothing is standing.
But also, he was laying low at the beginning of Supremacy until Carl Urban framed him.
That's true. Oh, Carl Urban.
That's true.
Man.
But can you stay mad at Carl Urban?
I don't
He is
know.
the law.
No. Urban love.
Again.
Did he speak
you're-
in this movie?
You're going to kill
Once.
me? All right, if you're the last thing I look at.
Just look me in the eyes when you do it.
Oh, that pouty face. And he's like, I shot him.
You
and he walked
were
away. I
once
was like, oh.
Cupid, and I loved you back then. With your frosted tips.
He's just always Dread to me. Because he's so
Always Dredd?
good as Dread.
To me, I think the line that sums up these movies is there's a part in the Bourne Ultimatum where he is with, oh yeah, I got a tattoo there. For the listeners at home, I'm looking at my tattoo right now.
He's got a
revealed
flying
it as
pig
well.
on his
But when-
wall.
Thank
There's
you.
a flying pig.
Ah, that's me. Sums me up, really, in a nutshell. But there's a line in the Bourne Ultimatum where stupid journalist McGee is like, oh, I tried to get information out to the public. Apparently that's a bad thing in this movie somehow. And Matt Damon runs up to him, gets really intense, and says, this isn't some story in a newspaper. This is real.
What?
And
What does that say about
Ex-
Comment
everything?
No,
on
but
it.
this
That's
is
what
the
just
thi-
seems odd.
But this is the thing, is like, you could try to argue that they wrote that line to actually, like, make a comment or something, like, oh, Jason Bourne doesn't believe in, like, you know, the integrity of journalism or something. But what I really think it was is that they didn't really know what these characters were going to say to each other. They were like, just say things in an urgent way so that it sounds legitimized and sounds like really intense and
I like-
action
Now, Matt,
movie.
go.
Yeah, and he's like, this isn't a story in a newspaper, this is real. And they're like,
Great, cut,
great, yeah.
we're keeping it.
One take
I
wonder,
love-
let's go.
Even though they don't have necessarily the desired effect, I love lines like those that can serve as like the meta commentary on the movie, because they just happen naturally. So it's like it kind of works in harmony with a silly movie, which is still fun. Like I like that kind of circular element to it.
Yeah, and they definitely play into the let's make this sound smarter than it actually is.
Yeah, totally. There's just a
You're-
lot
you're
to be
over
said
Sorry.
for. There's a lot to be said for like how inept everybody in the movie is, except for Jason Bourne, and like and
Julia
how.
Stiles is pretty smart too.
No, I feel like the women in general in this movie, except for Pam Landy, are
Pam-
just kind of
that's-
standing on the sidelines.
I
Couldn't
really
agree
like,
more.
I
Could not
really like
agree
Pam
more.
Landy in these movies.
She's great.
She's great in the second one when she's just
Yeah.
like, fuck Brian Cox. I'm in charge. Like, I love her in that.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
that scene.
I
Yeah.
hate the grief that she gets from everybody else because everyone's kind of like, ugh, Pam, I don't want to do that. The faces that they give her, oh, Pam, you're such a bitch. And like,
Probably
if
pretty
she were a
realistic.
dude, they would not have been giving her such flack.
No.
I kept thinking Hillary Clinton the whole time. I
Right?
was just like, this woman is getting it from all sides.
From all angles, and she's just doing her job and doing it well.
But that's what I like about her character so much is that they actually use that. Because if this was a real life situation, she'd go through the exact
True
same
story.
hoops. And she does it, like, they did a really good job making her a fucking badass.
Right.
And having to deal with, like, the shh. Just shh.
Yeah, the condescension.
Go back to your office,
Yeah.
little girl, and she's like,
It'd be great if
mean,
her
the
character
first,
at some
the
point
first time
just
she
went,
calls
"Y'all
Brian
cunts."
Cox, that whole conversation, "Hi Pam, what can I do for you?" He's just so condescending. The whole fucking
That's what
conversation.
he's good at.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love
And
Brian
David
Cox. He's
Yeah.
David
really good.
Strathairn in the third one too is just like, oh, they suggested that you come onto the team over like breakfast or brunch or whatever
Yeah.
the hell they're doing, and she's like, oh, they suggested, or were you like told to do this by a superior, and you're trying to make it sound like you're doing me a favor?
Don't
like,
undermine me.
Yeah, that's actually like for as I think kind of crummy as some of the dialogue and character work in these movies is. I think that's actually a really great scene.
That's probably one of the best scenes in the movie, and everything from just like the power play of "I'm going to buy your breakfast for you," and she's like, "I'll have coffee," and then doesn't even drink the coffee.
Enjoy your egg whites, which is her way of saying "fuck you." But also, I just think it's interesting that like in the first and third, like whenever there's like Franca Potenke is on the run in the first movie, and they're like, okay, you're gonna have to like cut your hair and dye it and like change every way that you look, and like they do the exact same thing to Julia Stiles in the third one, and Jason Bourne looks like Matt Damon, and he doesn't even put on a hat.
Baby face
Like
Matt
this man could not give a shit about changing his appearance or
What if
trying to be
Fedora
in
been too on the
disguise.
nose?
Yeah, I guess. But
Well,
it's
I mean,
just like, why do these, like, if Franca Potenka walked in
He
here
should
right
grow
now,
a
I'm
soul
not sure I would
patch.
recognize her.
Yeah.
And yet they're like, you have to change your entire look. And, like, Jason Bourne just is waltzing around.
Now, in my one little thing before I move into any arguments of this thing, to counter that, he doesn't give a fuck about people trying to come to kill him. He's trying to protect the women. He's being the white knight for the women. So like, oh, they kind of
'Cause
know
they
what you
need
look
saving.
like. They
Sorry.
need save. No, I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm saying the character motivation is
Right.
I need to protect
Right.
them. I don't care if they're coming after me.
Yeah.
This is a very white male thing.
It is. It's totally yeah.
It's totally like a 17-year-old in high school's, like, fantasy about,
Yes.
like, oh, this is how I'm going to get the German
Oh, I
exchange
still
student
run
to like
into those
me.
men on a
I'm
daily
going to
basis.
save his life.
Yeah.
I watched Run Lola Run.
Yeah, 100%.
That's
Yeah.
That's
I
your
had to
country's
deal-
national
That girl could-
anthem.
The other day I had to deal with a guy going, honey, don't go up that ladder. That's so high up. Let one of the guys do it. And I just straight up looked at
And
him
how-
and
and how
said,
did you
don't
do?
do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he went, oh, I'm not doing that. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like,
It's like, yes, you are.
I have
said it.
lots of women friends. I'm woke. I'm with it.
Nice.
I'm hashtag woke. It's okay.
All right, let's do final thoughts.
Can
here.
I throw
Yeah.
something in real quick
Yeah,
first?
yeah.
Do we want to touch on at all the fact that he is Jason Bourne and all of the water imagery and how he is birthed from the water of the Sea of Marseille and like every time he dies he has this rebirth again. Start of the first one, Bourne Identity, he comes out of the water in Marseille. In the second movie, it starts with like the rain baptizing him or something like that while he's in India. And then
she dies in the water.
and
too.
she dies in
Yeah,
the water,
totally.
and he dies in the water, or dies presumably at the end of Ultimatum.
No, it'd be even in the second one. He dies in the water because his
It's
love
always in the
died,
water.
So he comes out of spirit of revenge. So,
Right.
yeah.
All of it is in the water.
and then they end the third one with him in the
In the water, yeah.
In the, yeah.
Yeah.
And the second one and the third one begins with snow everywhere, but still, that's
Yeah.
just frozen water.
And the
I did not pick up on any
and
of
the
that.
Blu-ray case is blue, which is blue water.
Totally
sky.
water.
I mean,
Yeah, it can't be sky.
Produced by Doug Lyman, who's a lie man. I mean, this is getting really.
Oh, and Paul Greengrass.
Oh my
And how do you
goodness,
make
guys.
grass green?
With
All right.
water.
Stop it. Now
I mean,
we're-
we live in California, so
now
I
we're-
presume
now
that's how
we're
you
going
make
down
grass
the road
green.
I
where
don't
we
know-
make these movies
I haven't
look
seen
smarter
green
than they
grass in
are.
I
years.
haven't seen water in months.
I don't know what water is. We're just like, no, it's like, wow, big blue
Dying
wet
in the
thing.
desert.
The big blue wet thing.
But
Yeah.
where you started was pretty spot on.
Nice,
Where we ended.
nice Muppet Treasure Island
No
reference,
worries.
by the way. Good
yeah.
It
form.
made my day regardless.
Got it.
To reference our thing we're going to do next week, in the newspaper, water is wet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's go around the table. Final thoughts. If there's anything you want to say about the new one coming out, anything like that. John, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, first off, I'll see it.
Yeah.
Just because, I mean, for as cheesy as it is, and all problems aside, these movies are up my alley. I like this. I like espionage. I like the action espionage thing. They're fun to watch, and
Yeah.
if they're on, I'll watch them. Like they're just infinitely fun, and I like that as a genre.
Okay.
Fun.
They're fun if you don't think about them. Like
Right,
what
right.
our entire podcast is here to do, to break them down. It's like, oh god, this is really ugly when you get like underneath the sheets, but on the surface layer, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it's Matt Damon. I mean, Matt Damon.
Yeah, there's better.
Jeremy Renner.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
We're not talking about him today.
I'm
Except for
sorry.
all the times we talked
No
about
matter
him.
how much I like Matt Damon and I really love The Martian and all that, he still did Elysium, and that'll always be. Ugh.
Whoa,
And
that's what you compare him to.
And he
Okay.
tripped me in a bar. He did apologize, but he did trip me, that son of a bitch.
He totally meant it.
He didn't. It was,
he
it was
totally
100% my fault. But he apologized.
If he
That
was-
really
if he
cool
was-
of him.
But if he didn't exist, then you wouldn't have had that moment.
That's
So
true.
to
See?
hell with him.
Fucking Matt Damon.
if he was in Bourne mode, he meant it.
That's true.
He drew attention to himself on purpose.
Yeah. Some crazy shit happened in the background.
You're
I
lucky
there-
he didn't kill you with a drink coaster
Yeah.
or something.
If there's one thing I'd like to get from the next movie, which I know I won't get because none of these movies ever do it when they do these massive sequels, like I would like to see actual aging, like a casual joke maybe about like, man, my joints just can't do what they used to, or like
mean-
with the water, it'd be like, oh, my
Be
hips.
human?
Yeah, my hips kind of hurt when it rains.
They do
like,
that in the Lethal Weapon movies. I'm too old for this shit.
Oh, but they do that in every. He's always too old for this shit, even when he was 20.
They do it in the
But-
first Die Hard.
Yeah.
And then
But-
by the fifth one, he's like, what, bringing down a helicopter with his
I
bare
would just
arms or
like
something?
for them to like
flicking it.
reflect on that, be like him just looking like a weary old soldier, and not just like he's like got a furrowed brow at some point, and be like actual like ramifications on his body of having to do this for decades. Like,
Yeah,
I would enjoy that.
They won't do
No,
that.
they won't do that.
But I see what you mean.
But that would make it so much more. You can actually connect to his character more then.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Alex, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I'm psyched about it. I'm gonna go see it. Just for the simple fact that I'm guaranteed a great car chase and I'm guaranteed a great fight.
Yeah.
Who's the villain in the new one? I don't even know.
Who even cares?
Jeremy Renner.
Probably the
Jeremy
government.
Renner.
That'd be pretty great.
Yeah, I'd bet it's the government.
Yeah.
Still, you think?
You're going to win that bet.
Yeah. Not just the government, but the government.
To be fair,
government.
it's Tommy Lee Jones is the main
Oh.
bad guy.
I
He's a
approve.
very. He's a good
sweet.
government-looking person.
He is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can handle that really well.
Man, what if it's a crossover with MIB?
It won't be.
It
Wouldn't
shouldn't
that be the
be.
Dickens?
No.
Who do you think would win in a fight, Tommy Lee Jones or Jason Bourne? Like fist fight. Probably Tommy Lee Jones, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see it.
Wait, it's just a fist fight. There's no gadgets.
No gadgets, just
Not a newspaper to be found anywhere or a
Because here's the
magazine.
thing: is
Nothing.
I
that
don't
Just
know.
fingernails and spit.
I mean,
Yeah.
Tommy Lee Jones never really
foul
does
language.
fist fights. Like, when was the last movie that Tommy Lee Jones did a fist fight?
He
It's
punches somebody
been
in
a minute.
Captain America.
yeah,
Punches one guy, I think.
or like his stunt double did.
In all likelihood.
Eric, any last thoughts?
Well, I'm looking forward to the new one. I mean, there's something really sad about the fact that there even is a new Matt Damon, Jason Bourne movie, just because like the whole point of these three movies is that he doesn't want to do this shit anymore, and he's
Right.
trying to get out of it. So there is something kind of depressing about like, oh, it's too bad that apparently this man is never going to be given peace because Universal needs money.
There is an interesting article. I didn't do my research on remembering it, about how like even with television how these things keep going on in movies with sequels and sequels, that no one gets their happy ending anymore. And I think that's actually going to be, that's kind of an interesting element to this. Is that
That came out right around Star Wars to talk about how
Yeah.
by
Interesting.
extending Star Wars, you're guaranteeing sad endings for most of your characters.
Yep.
Yeah, it's really tragic that you can't just let somebody ride off into the sunset. I mean, just look no further than like the fourth Indiana Jones movie. It's like it's frustrating that you can't. And it's not like Matt Damon looks like a haggard old, corpse at this point. Far
he
from
looks
it.
fine
He's
still.
I'd say he looks fine. But there is something really. It's
Apparently, there's a
frustrating.
divide. We talk about other people, and they're just dealing with Matt Damon.
Matt
I mean,
Damon.
I just like
Hey,
It's
we're on point here.
But it's frustrating
Swing.
that they just keep dusting off these performances and making them dance over and over again. I'm not saying that it's going to be a bad movie. I think, in fact, I'm kind of set up to like it after.
Yeah.
And I'll say this: like for the fourth movie being, sort of accepted as a disaster. And I know we're not really talking about it. Like, there's a scene in the fourth movie that I think I liked more than like any scene from any of the other movies, where there was actual like clever like stakes and tension, where there's this like there's a biochemical plant or something like that that's tied into the like Bourne program, and one of the scientists gets like a message from the evil government or whatever, and he just like opens a desk drawer, pulls out a handgun, and he just goes around and starts shooting the other scientists.
Oh yeah.
And you're like watching this and you're just like, God, it's so brutal and strange and like tense, and it's like something out of a horror movie. And in that moment, I was more concerned about whether or not people were going to live or die than like all three of the other movies put together.
I
And
mean,
granted, that doesn't salvage the whole movie by
No,
a mile, but
If that movie wasn't the Bourne series' Flowers for Algernon, I think I would have liked it a little bit more. But
yeah, I mean,
just-
if they called it anything else, I think that people would have given it more of a fair shake. I mean,
Yeah.
if they had just called it like Jeremy Renner, the Winter
newest
Soldier or
asset.
something, then you would be in a better position. But yeah, it doesn't necessarily justify the existence of that movie.
I would prefer them opting to pass on the torch to new assets that they're cultivating in the government rather than continually bringing Matt Damon back.
Well,
I think he's wonderful. I'm going to watch it. It's going to be so great. But also open up the doors for other people.
Well, I mean, they
100%.
tried, and as you vote with your money, and not enough people went to go see it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and I honestly, I think that's fine. I agree with you. It'd be nice if they could do it well. I just don't think they're going to be able to.
How did the Runner movie compare to the Firstborn?
It's still worse.
Still worse.
Yeah, it made the
Tragic.
least amount of money out of all of them.
Oh, womp,
So-
womp, womp.
Yeah.
So that's your answer.
Well, and-
they're not going to try that again.
And my hope is always kind of with these that, maybe it is another Bourne movie. We still get them back, but maybe it'll encourage a new Bourne identity to pop out of inspiration. And that's kind of always my hope, is that this genre of like action espionage thing just kind of keeps happening, and we keep getting more because they're very entertaining.
Yeah.
And I missed those.
Formulaic, but entertaining.
Yeah.
We're still getting more Mission Impossible.
That's true. We
And
always have
somehow
Mission
they're like,
Impossible.
But like
getting
you even
better.
said, Brian,
Yeah,
like,
I don't know how
And
that
still
happens.
all crews.
For sure, yeah, it's super shocking to me.
but they each do their different thing, which is like I still like those Mission Impossibles, but this one has definitely carved its own path. This style of action espionage is its own thing. Bond is its own thing. Mission Impossible is its own thing, and I like them all. I like them all to kind of keep doing their own thing, but new people, like new kind of scenarios,
New blood.
yeah.
The person that, if I got to choose someone for Jason Bourne to fight, I would choose Rama from.
He'd lose. You don't fight Rama. You lose.
But
You lose to Rama.
I know
ugly.
you lose, but talking about using what's around you or whatnot, a knife fight between Jason Bourne and Rama
No one
would
wins in a
win.
knife fight.
I was already going to say you lose to Rama. You can't give him a knife. He's a
know.
fucking wrecking ball with a knife.
No,
Everyone
I know,
in the room
but
dies.
But in the second one, we see Bourne with a knife or fighting against a knife, and it was pretty enthralling. I would like to watch that.
Rama is from the Raid series, if you don't know.
Yes, it's fantastic.
Another man that can just run through an entire building and kill
Demolish.
everyone.
Yeah, but he's not conflicted about it and trying to be like the hero. He's
He
just like,
looks
I'm going to
sad
fuck shit up.
sometimes.
Either way, we need to move on to quotes. Who wants to go first?
So it's any quote from any of the three movies.
Any quote from any of the three movies.
God, it's so much.
Okay, well then I can go first because I have mine
Yeah.
set up and ready to go. It comes when I think it's in Supremacy. It is definitely in Supremacy, where Bourne is talking to Pam Landy and he's like, I need to talk to Nikki because she was with the first project and I'll only talk to her. And she goes, okay, what if I can't find her? And then it's that great oh shit moment of, it's like, it should be easy. She's standing right next to you.
Ah, yeah.
It's like click and it's like, oh shit, he can see us the whole time.
Mic drop.
Yeah,
He's everywhere.
I love those moments. It's such a cool, like, God damn it, he's scary.
Yeah. Where you're rooting for a creepy stalker.
Oh yeah, it's like, wow, I'm rooting for the most murdery Batman who's ever been murdered.
Yeah.
So my deal is from Identity, and it's still when Jason's trying to figure out who am I, and Conklin's like, "You're a U.S. government property. You're a malfunctioning $30 million weapon. You're a total goddamn catastrophe. And by God, if it kills me, you're going to tell me how this happened."
That is, I love.
That's
Chris
like
Cooper.
yeah, I know. Where the God, I wish like how they brought him. I loved how like Chris Cooper's story in Bourne Identity is like, God, what a horrible day.
Yeah.
It's just like his performance is just like, God damn it, this
Guys,
is
my
just
coffee has no sugar in it.
exactly like he's playing the whole thing like the elevator was broken at work and he had to take the stairs. He's just like, God damn it, I hate my job. I hate this place. He's so working class, and I fucking love that. And that's missing in the second and third
It
ones, I
is.
think.
I mean,
a
they
lot.
try to do
It
a
is.
little bit with Brian Cox, but it doesn't play off.
Not even close.
Like, Chris Cooper, there's something special about that guy.
I liked
know.
the little quib moment between Carl Urban and his boss in the second one, where he just goes and be like, "You told me I had him 1 month off."
Yeah,
And you're
totally.
like, "You told me Jason Bourne was dead."
And he's like, touche.
See,
Say what now?
It's so great if he just looks and goes, I am the law.
The quote I like is actually in the last two movies, where they kind of bridge them, like where he's like, "Get some rest, Pam. You look tired." That whole
That's such a
conversation,
good line.
and I hadn't seen him before, so I was like, "Oh man, the timelines like they cross." It's like, holy
Yeah.
crap! And it was great. I like that that they wove in the timeline. Like, thanks guys.
Whoa.
Yeah, there's actually a really cool moment in
That
the
was
third
great.
one where it's suddenly like, oh, this is the end of the last. Like, it's
Yeah.
just something really like kind of jarring about that in a cool way.
It's
I
definitely
love
one of those
moments like
moments
that.
where you can see like the writer's room, like you can see like the wheels turning. I'm like, oh, I have an idea.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I just earned my paycheck.
Yeah, it's neat.
As a writer, you live for those moments. You're like, oh, I get to be clever. I get to be clever. God damn, I get to be clever. Doesn't happen very often.
Eric, do you have a favorite quote?
I do really like the bit in the third one, although I think you said it already, where he's like, "If you were in your office, we'd be having a
Yeah.
conversation face
So
to face."
good.
Like that's a super like drop the mic moment. And I really like the bit again in the first one where she's like, "I just went in and asked them for this information." Like she's just like, "You are such a dude." Like just like don't
All right, you
blow
need to
anything
walk
up.
in. You need to go ahead and identify how many people are in that room. You need to go make sure you count from the moment you walk in the door to the time you get to the counter, and then you come back outside. And you let me know everything that happens. Like I just asked.
Yeah, it's like, dude, like just be chill. Like it's like you catch more
Be a
flies with
person.
honey than with vinegar.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna forego the rating system this week due to time restraints.
Oh, no.
I know it's a sad
Well,
thing.
we all seem
but-
to agree, obviously, that
Yeah.
the first one's the best.
So we're gonna jump straight into plugs, and then stick around after plugs for the answer to this question of who would win in a fist fight: Jason Bourne, James Bond, or Ethan Hunt. So think about that. For plugs, you can find us on Facebook at After the Hype. You can find us on Twitter at ATH_podcast and on Instagram at just ATH Podcast. And that pretty much everywhere else. You can find me on Twitter at YBRYANY and on Instagram at Senselord, Spencer spelled with a Z. However, since I got a new phone, I have to re-log into both those accounts, and I'm probably not going to do it. So follow if you want to, but I doubt I'll be on either one of them. John?
Movie Guy John on all social networks. Always thirsty.
Chewie?
Chewie9 on most things, all one word, spelled out with an IE for Chewie.
Alex?
Alex Marshall Brown website, and that's my Instagram, and A Marshall Brown on Twitter.
Cool. Eric?
At Eric J. Stolze on Twitter. Still not on Snapchat.
And what's the
some
name of your
point-
film on Netflix again? Just
Oh yeah, it's a werewolf movie called Late Phases.
Late Phases. Okay.
Nice.
All right, so answer that question. Who's going to win in a fist fight? Ethan Hunt, Jason Bourne, James Bond. John, you can go first.
They'll throw the first couple punches and then I'll go get a beer.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure. I'd watch that
Straight
movie.
up tie. Okay.
Yeah.
Joey?
Honestly, I think similar to what John just said, it would be kind of like that scene in Revenge of the Sith when they're fighting and all of their movements just keep timing perfectly, so none of them actually makes any movement.
They all just break their hands on each other's fists.
Yeah, they all just they just reach a
Like in
stalemate.
trio crosses ending in
And
a
then-
triangle of some sort.
And then at the end of it, they all just start talking about how much they like parkour, and they go do parkour.
You like parkour?
Parkour. I like parkour.
Hardcore
do you,
parkour,
do you
dude.
jump off buildings? Yeah, I jump off buildings. Parkour, man.
And they
Ethan
parkour
Hunt,
off to
I
the
climb
sunset.
buildings.
The final shot is just the three of them jumping around the sunset, and we're all
Yeah.
like, "This is
and then
amazing."
they run into the Ninja Turtles, and then they all run together doing parkour.
Fun.
I'd buy
Alex?
that movie twice.
Okay, so this is my thinking. Forgive me, I'm not aware of Ethan Hunt, but right now
Mission
I'm-
Impossible.
Mission Impossible. That Ethan Hunt.
Yep.
Got it. Thank you.
Parkour.
AKA
Because the
Tom
guy I
Cruise.
found on IMDb did a bunch of Christmas movies.
You're like, he's out.
He's not gonna make it. I am going to lean. So we're just saying a fist fight.
Yeah.
I'm leaning towards Jason Bourne for the simple fact that Bond is very gadget reliant, and Ethan Hunt is a bit of a wild card. But I still think that Bourne has the expertise to go ahead and think past that.
He's
Yeah,
got the agility.
Ethan
Like,
Hunt feels more like I'm going to outsmart this fight. Like, how am I going to get around the fight?
Right. But if you got to engage, then it's going to be Bourne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it would be, if it were just down to one punch, I think it would be Jason Bourne. If it was down to just like who's going to last the longest, I think it would be Daniel Craig's James Bond.
Okay. Yeah.
Ooh.
And I think if it came down to like punching from above on a series of wires, it would be Ethan Hunt.
Yeah, he needs assistance.
Yeah.
All of these are so much
he
better
swings in like
answers than
Cirque du
mine.
Soleil and
Like-
love taps him to
Like
death.
Bourne and Bond are fighting, and then suddenly they're like, "Where's
I really
Ethan Hunt?"
just
And he
want to
just
watch
comes
them.
punching down.
I'm the goddamn Batman.
So, kind of with what everyone else is saying, I think Jason Bourne is clearly going to win the muscle version of this fight. But if it's an endurance test, like Eric said, it's going to go to James Bond. I'm not sure if I'd necessarily say just Daniel Craig's, though, because I think pretty much all the Bonds are good at like their long-winded fights. So I think he'll be
I
good.
don't
for
know.
us.
Pierce Brosnan was such a pretty boy.
Yeah,
He
Pierce Brosnan
was.
was a fashion model, man.
He was.
What a drag that guy was.
Whenever I choose the biggest pretty boy, I always go with Timothy Dalton. Actually,
Oh, I love
that man's
Timothy
got
Dalton.
smolder.
He could do it. Yeah, he could win the fight.
That's Mulder.
But old school Sean Connery was a bruiser. Like,
Yeah,
he
that-
was.
that guy
Oh, God,
really
love
built
that
Sean
like a
man.
Connery
wall.
was
Totally.
rapey.
Yeah. So I'm
Well,
pretty sure
yeah,
the only
but that
one who's
was James
guaranteed to
Bond,
lose is Ethan.
That
Hawke.
was also the
Sean
time.
Connery's the only one that kind of pushed a woman into a closet.
That was the
This is
time
also
frame,
true.
too.
Yeah.
I know, but I can't not.
So a big thank you to Eric Stoltze and Alex Marshall Brown for coming out this week, and I'm going to say bye!
Bye.
Bye.